Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I've gotten a lot of requests to talk about CLC, so I thought I would finally do it. Like my other videos, I will be going over their careers, the members, and so on, and then I will be diving into topics like member changes, merch issues, and Cube's management of the group. There will be timestamps, so if you want to skip ahead, you can, but I recommend watching the whole video for better context. One thing I want to say before I start is that even though I will be comparing CLC to other Cube groups, I do understand that the group is not the same, and their situation is different in sales, popularity, and such. I am fully aware that CLC are their own group. I just think it would be good to have something to compare their treatment to, if that makes sense. So just so there's no misunderstanding, I do know that all the groups that I'll be talking about are their separate entities with different incomes and fan bases, but there's a lot of interesting things when you look at the different treatments of, for example, G-idol and Pentagon versus CLC. I also want to say that when I was looking up sources for this video, a lot of videos on YouTube did not have any sources, didn't include half of the stuff that fans were worried about or unhappy about, and even spread misinformation. So all my sources will be linked down below if anyone is interested. But enough of that, let's jump all the way back to when Cube first announced CLC's debut. In December of 2014, Cube announced that they would be debuting a multinational girl group under the name CLC in the first half of 2015. On March 19, 2015, CLC made their debut under Cube Entertainment with 5 members: Seungyeon, Yoojin, Seungyeon, Sorn, and Yeon. Their debut EP was called First Love, and they promoted the debut with the title track Pepe. Pepe was a retro dance song written by Double Sidekick and Yang Gang, and a part of the choreography was made by Rain. The album peaked at number 8 on the Korean chart, selling over 5,200 copies, while the title track peaked at 143 with just under 35,000 digital sales. A month later, on April 16, CLC released a digital single called 18. The song was about teenage love within 1960s and 1970s Motown influence and 1980s synth pop. They promoted the song the day after its release, starting a music bank. The song failed to chart on Gaon and only had about 8,100 downloads. Their second mini album, Question, was released on May 28th. The girls promoted the album with the title track Like, or also called Curious. Similar to their debut album, they peaked at number 9 on the Korean chart, selling over 4,600 copies, while the title track managed to peak at 173 with 21,000 downloads. Later that same year, the girls went to Malaysia for their first overseas promotional tour called First Love Promo Tour in Malaysia. CLC were nominated at the End of Year Awards Mama for Best New Female Artist along with Twice, Lovelyz, G-Friend, and Oh My Girl, but didn't end up winning. But it's a really good start for CLC. The girls came back in February of 2016 with the third mini album Refresh with the title track High Heels. Along with the new album, 2 new members were announced to be joining CLC, Elkie and Eunbin. When the announcement was made, Eunbin was on the survival show Produce 101, so she couldn't actually join the girls until her contract with Mnet was up. We will touch more on this later in the video. This album peaked at number 6 on the Korean album chart, but didn't hit the 3,000 sales mark. High Heels peaked at 127 and sold 14,200 downloads. CLC had their Japanese debut on April 13, 2016 with their first Japanese mini album High Heels. The album had Japanese versions of their older songs Pepe, First Love, Like, and High Heels. I do want to say something that I found really funny is that they have the same music video for their Korean and Japanese song High Heels. They just don't show the members singing in Korean and just play the Japanese track over it. But I'm not gonna say anything more on that. On May 30th, the group had a comeback with Eunbin for the first time with their 4th mini album called Nuclear. The album peaked at number 16 on the Gaon chart with 4,500 copies sold, while the title track peaked at 144 and had just under 17,500 digital sales. July 27th, CLC released their second Japanese mini album, Chamisma. I think that's how you say it. This time, the album peaked at number 9 on the Oricon Daily Album Chart with album sales of 4,800. The girls of CLC had their first solo fan meeting in Japan in January of 2017, just before they had their next Korean comeback. On January 17 of 2017, CLC gave out their 5th mini album, Crystal. This comeback showed a new side of the group as they promoted the title track with Hobgoblin. This comeback helped the group break onto the scene. The album peaked at number 10 on the Gaon chart and number 6 on the Billboard World's album charts. The group had their first fan meeting for their fan club called Cheshire in late May. But after this pretty successful comeback, the girls went back to their sweeter image with their 6th mini album. The album came out on August 3rd with the title track Where Are You? This comeback went by pretty unnoticed. The album peaked at 10 with 4,300 copies, but the title track failed to chart altogether. The girls then yet again changed their image for their 6th comeback with Black Dress. The girls released a pre-release digital single called To the Sky in February, and then came back with an album called Black Dress with the title track of the same name in February 22nd of 2018. The album peaked at number 12 on the Gaon chart with 8,000 album sales. CLC celebrated their 3-year anniversary with a concert on April 1st of 2017. The concert was donation-based, where all attendees could donate money to the Diabetes Association. In July, the girls went to Hong Kong to hold a concert for their Chinese fans. At the start of 2019, on January 30th, CLC released their 8th mini album, number 1, with the title track No. This comeback did pretty well. The album debuted at number 5 on the Billboard World Album charts. The album did really good in Korea as well, peaking at number 4 on the Gaon chart with 15,200 sales. This comeback won the group their first and second music show win on the show. On May 26th of 2019, the group had their release of a digital single called Me. From what I can tell, the song failed to chart on the Gaon chart. And in September, CLC released another single called Devil. A member of the group, Yeon, contributed to both Me and Devil, and has been contributing to some of the songs prior to this. Devil did not make the Gaon Digital top chart either, but in March of 2020, Billboard reported that Me debuted at number 5 and Devil debuted at number 7 in the US World Digital Song Chart. Me ended up becoming the second best-selling song of that week, right behind BTS's song Black Swan, and I will get into why that happened months after the song was actually released later in the video. A whole year later since their last comeback, CLC finally came back with their song Helicopter. The song did not chart in the Gaon chart, but did make the K-pop Hot 100 at number 87. In late 2020, one of the members, Elkie, sent a legal notice to Cube where she requested that her contract with Cube Entertainment would be terminated. And once again, we will get into that later in the video. Before I start this section, I just want to say that I am not attacking the CLC members in any way or, mocking them. I have a lot of respect for them all. This is just to show that the way CLC were treated, to point out mistakes made by Cube that affected CLC, and so on. So let's go into all the stuff that Cube has done. The way that Elkie and especially Eunbin were added into CLC was such a messy thing. Cube posted a photo to tease their new comeback refresh, but in the photo there were 7 members. Cube didn't say who the new members were, so people were really confused as who was joining the group and why. People speculate that Elkie was added because she is from China, and that when CLC was getting ready to debut, they were promoted as a multinational group, but then all the members besides one ended up being Korean. So I think some people think that she was added to represent China and to spark interest in China. Eunbin's addition was criticized a lot more and was messy to say the least. At the time of the announcement, Eunbin was on the show Produce 101 as a trainee. When it was announced that she would be joining CLC, people were very confused as how that would work. So Cube came out and explained it better. A representative of Cube said, quote, "If Eunbin doesn't make it through Produce 101, she will be joining CLC and continue working in the group. If she does become one of the final winners, then she will be meeting fans through the Produce 101 group." Cube also said that Eunbin was in the official lineup of CLC, but the debut kept being pushed back, so she returned to being a trainee, and then so she joined Produce 101 with her fellow trainees. The whole issue with this is that Eunbin was under a contract with CJE&M, I think that's how you say it, meaning that she had certain restrictions. This contract prohibits trainees from revealing any information about the show, and on top of that, they cannot record or appear on other shows, networks, or media. This means that even though this was Eunbin's debut, she couldn't promote with the girls until her contract ended, which means when the show Produce 101 ends. Cube had to remove Eunbin from the new music video High Heels and refilm her parts with other members. So Cube released a shorter version of the music video without her, and then later released a full music video with Eunbin. Before the announcement that Eunbin would be joining CLC, she was ranking really high in Produce 101. For the first week episode, she ranked at number 10 on the online votes, and she also ranked number 10 the next week on episode 2. But after the announcement, she dropped a lot in ranking, and she ended up being voted off in the next elimination. She got voted off on the third elimination, which was the last elimination before the final episode. So you can clearly see the fans were like, well, if she's gonna join CLC anyway, we can just vote her off. I will be putting the chart on the screen so you can see how her rank just significantly changed as soon as the announcement was made. Early March of 2016, it was announced that out of nowhere, CLC would be changing their leaders. Seunghee, that was the leader from the group's debut, would be changing positions with Seungyeon, that took over as leader. Seunghee made a post on the fan cafe where she said some things like, quote, "Couple of days ago, we suddenly revealed that the leader changed through radio. This must have been a surprise to you. I feel sorry that I wasn't able to tell you in advance before," unquote. And then later in the statement, she said, quote, "After CLC became 7 members, with the increased number of members, for the sake of making us more solid, I put down my burden as a leader and decided to help lead the team besides Seungyeon," end quote. This is such a strange thing to happen, and it just might be that Seunghee didn't feel confident as a leader anymore. But some fans thought there was something more behind it, and I don't know, because this is something that doesn't happen a lot in K-pop. On top of that, Cube didn't make an official statement. It was actually the members themselves that had to announce it, which is just really strange. It is a common misconception with other YouTube videos that I looked up for the research of this video is that CLC does not have fan colors. Although it took a long time for Cube to actually give CLC fan colors, they do have them now. They literally just gave them fan colors in August of 2020, the same time that they changed the group's logo. It took them so long to give the group colors. But CLC just really relaxed merch overall. When I was looking at their merch besides their album, which I'll talk about more later, I was really struggling. They had some postcards and stamp sets for Black Dress and a photo card set for number 1, a me single photo card poster set. I will put them all on the screen here. But they also had 3 slogans, 2 old and then 1 new, and season greeting sets, but that's it. That's all there is. Also, some tea on the season greetings. For the 2019 season greetings, they used the same photos for the season greetings that they used for the fan club's membership card that year. And Cube made a mistake and put Seungyeon's message as Eugen's message. What? How? I don't understand. But I'm sure there were other merchandise that I just couldn't find. But it isn't that much. Since postcard sets and such are only for a certain comeback, it isn't like a light stick that gets restocked or a slogan that gets restocked usually. Even though sometimes it's hard. You know what I mean. It's not the same. It's just for that certain comeback. They don't have a light stick, even though fans have been begging for one and even have given CLC and Cube some great ideas for light sticks. And here's actually a clip from June of 2019 when Sorn talks about getting a light stick.
Does CLC have plans to present light stick this year? Love CLC, love you too. Light stick. Out of all the questions you guys had asked me, I think this question comes out the most. And for those of you who are curious, I will say for now that our company is not planning to make a light stick just yet, but I promise you there will be a light stick in the future. Recently, I've shown you guys about the light stick I got. It's over there from one of our, I believe, Hong Kong or Taiwanese fan. She made this for us and it was really well made, and I would like to thank you. Whoever made this, I'm so sorry, I can't remember who it was. For those of you who are curious about the light stick, I will just say that there is no plan for a light stick right now, but I promise you that there will be one soon.
A lot of their albums have been sold out and were never restocked. This means that fans can collect their albums, and people will try to sell their albums for crazy prices because they're so rare. For example, CLC debut album First Love is sold out on all major K-pop websites that I could find, but G-Idol's and Pentagon's debut album are still in stock. And so if you're talking about Pentagon and G-Idol, they have a lot more merch than CLC, and it's been like that since their debut. But I also understand that both Pentagon and G-Idol do sell more copies of their albums, so I understand that they are stocking it still in most places. I just think that fans have been asking about it, so why isn't the company restocking the sold out albums? And they just don't say anything about the albums at all. And that's the big issue the fans have with the whole album fiasco. Another thing that happened with their albums that just kind of shows that Cube isn't paying a lot of attention to them because they do this kind of small mistakes over and over again is with their Nuclear album. The physical version of the album was supposed to be released on May 31st, but the same day that the album was supposed to drop and go into stores, Cube made the announcement that the album would have to be pushed back. He said this was due to concerns with some tracks on the album, and that after another listen they decided to work more on the songs on the track list. What? So on top of that, Cube threw out the first batch of the albums that got printed. I do get that things go wrong and things can be overlooked, but why did it take you so long to fix the songs on the album? That's just like, what? And why did you have to throw out the whole album? Why can't you just replace the CDs? So I think there's something going on there, but that's just me being a conspiracy theorist. I want to say before I end this section that I do understand that G-Idol does have more fans and Pentagon, and therefore have more chances and opportunities. But fans are upset over these things. So how are you expecting fans to keep supporting the group and buy their stuff if they don't have stuff to buy? And also, how hard is it for a company to give a group fan colors? What? Why did it take so long for CLC to get a fan color? A little backstory for those who don't know. Vie En Rose is a title track of IZ*ONE's debut album that came out on October 29th of 2018. But just after a few days that the album and the song came out, rumors started spreading that the song was originally made for CLC. Fans talked about how Vie En Rose were written by the same producer that made CLC's Black Dress, and earlier that year, Elkie had been talking about a comeback that the group had planned in July or August. The girls also posted themselves holding roses, and some fans thought there was a hint for a comeback, but CLC didn't end up having a comeback like Elkie had talked about. After this all happened, a video was leaked where the dancers were showing off the choreography of IZ*ONE's Vie En Rose, but it was actually the CLC members singing the song, and fans were outraged that CLC were being treated like this and got very, very angry. Some people still don't know what happened, and I found a clarification about what actually happened because people say that Cube gave the song away. The song was originally made by a producer group called Mospic, I'm not sure, and they used to work under Cube until June of 2018. So the song was supposed to be for CLC, and CLC even recorded the song, but then since the producer group Mospic wasn't under Cube anymore, they could sell the song to anyone they wanted, since apparently Cube hadn't bought it yet, I'm assuming. So they sold the song to IZ*ONE and their company as their debut song, and CLC's version was used as a demo for IZ*ONE. When CLC finally came back in January of 2019, the members actually talked about the situation, and Yen said, quote, Vie En Rose was a track that we had finished recording. We were taken aback when we found out later, but it's common in the music industry. It's a bit regrettable, but we are not sad. I think the track met better owners. Thanks to that, we were able to meet the great song, No. As I said earlier, the girls released their song Me on May 29th and Devil on September 6th. First of all, these songs were very badly promoted, so it was hard for the fans to even get a music show in since the songs were digital and you couldn't buy it in a physical copy. On top of that, Me was not added onto US iTunes until 8 months after it came out, and Devil was added 7 months after it came out. This is the reason why the songs charted so late in the US. And when a fan actually commented under one of Sorn's Instagram photos on the iTunes issue, she let Cube know about the issue, but the songs were not added until much later. In August of 2019, a strange clip surfaced from backstage of the Soribada Awards, where Seungyeon was walking in the hallway and she had an interaction with someone. Some people say that it looked like she was being pushed, while other people say that it looks like there was some friendly tickling going on. I won't be speculating what happened in the video, but I do want to talk about what happened after the clip came out. The day after, Seungyeon posted on Instagram to explain what happened. She said, quote, Hey guys, I know there has been drama about the clip at Soribada Festival yesterday. I would like to make it clear that nothing bad happened yesterday at all. I was just joking around with my friend in front of her green room. I think it was because of the angle that made everyone think that something bad happened to me yesterday. Thank you so much for worrying about me, guys, but absolutely nothing bad happened, so there's nothing to worry about. End quote. As I said, I won't be talking about what I think happened, as I'm myself not even sure. But what I have an issue with is the fact that Cube never made a statement about the incident at all. Usually companies and the idol will make some sort of statement if something like this happens, but just nothing. And you could say, well, it was Cube letting her make a statement, but no, as a company, you should be protecting your idol, so you should make a statement. CLC does not go in a lot of variety shows and stuff like that. I don't know if that's just because they don't get invited or because Cube doesn't try to push them out. I'm not sure why, but sadly they do not go on variety shows that often. Cube also likes to use ads in subways for their groups, but CLC has not gotten any as far as I know, while groups like Pentagon did get a lot of promotion multiple times before and after their hit Shine, while the only ads CLC members have ever gotten is from fans for their birthdays and such. Sorn even talked about how she tried to promote CLC while she was on vacation in Thailand. She told the company that she didn't want to rest and that she got her parents to help her to promote in Thailand. She even said that she would try to bring the group to Thailand and the USA with their own money since they wanted to do promotions overseas. The members even talked about how they really wanted a solo concert or a tour, and fans are asking about it, but there's no plans for nothing of that sort. CLC did not have an official Instagram until late 2017, and in 2018 there was even a fake CLC Instagram account that looked like their profile, and at some point this account had more followers than the official one, and Cube just did nothing about it for some reason. They didn't hey, don't do that. I don't know what that was. I remember when I was trying to find CLC on Instagram and I followed that account because I couldn't find them, so I was yeah, that has to be them. As well as they just basically left Japanese fans in the dust. When CLC debuted in Japan, it was pretty successful, but then they just stopped all activities and releasing Japanese songs. It's been more than 3 years since they did any activities in Japan, and Cube never even released an official Japanese MV for their Tamisma song internationally, so other people had to upload the music video for some reason. What? The CLC members don't really do any solo activity. They do a little here and there. For example, Eunbin, she did some acting, but then, for example, in 2019, she was supposed to be in a drama, but then Cube just pulled her from the show, stating that the reason was conflicting schedules, but they already finished their promotions of Devil, and CLC didn't have any schedules. And Eunbin even had already filmed some episodes of the drama, but Cube was like, nah, we're gonna take you back. Yeon joined a KBS show called Good Girl with other female Korean artists like Ailey, Cheetah, Jamie, Ghost Generations, Seungyeon, and many more. And the producer of the show actually said that they were the one that asked her to join the show, and Cube had nothing to do with the involvement of getting her on that show. And Yeon actually released a song called Barbie when she was in the show, and it became very popular, and a lot of fans wanted, or not just fans, just people that liked the show, wanted an official music video, but Cube never even responded to it. The fans were also waiting for like a dance practice of the song, and then it was just uploaded to some random YouTube page. It wasn't even uploaded onto CLC's YouTube channel, so it was really hard to find. Elkie also had some solo stuff. She had her solo debut in November 2018 with her song I Dream, but Cube didn't even promote it properly and did the minimum to let people know, like the bare minimum. When Cube was talking about their plans for 2020, they said that they would be focusing on solo activities for CLC, but there was like no solo activities or the bare minimum once again for the members. I do think that the panoramic had something to do with it, but we just know that they're badly promoted, and we even know that Cube said early that year that they wouldn't be promoting CLC, and I'll get onto that later. Like, why? Like, what? Like, it was... I don't understand. They were like, yeah, we're gonna focus on solo activities, and then they don't do anything, and then they have the helicopter song, and I'm like, this does not look like solo activity to me. Like, what is happening right now? Just like a lot of other K-pop groups, CLC went through concept changes, but the members themselves asked the company and even begged the company to change their concept for Hobgoblin. Soren made a PowerPoint presentation on what kind of concept the CLC members wanted to do. So they got their Hobgoblin comeback, but then the company just went back to the Q concept after the group did so well with Hobgoblin. Like, why Cube? Just tell me why. Some people didn't even realize that CLC had a comeback. It was pretty clear that the concept change between Hobgoblin and Where Are You messed with CLC's chance to get big. Why Cube did this, I have no clue. What I do know is that as soon as 4 Minute disbanded, Cube decided to give the girls Hobgoblin. Like, literally as soon as they disbanded. 4 Minute disbanded on June 2016, just after CLC had their No OO comeback. And then what happens in the CLC's next comeback? Out of nowhere, they have this 4 Minute style song, and they got so much hate for it because people just thought they were 4 Minute copycats. Fans have pointed out how often CLC uses the same outfits. Don't get me wrong, I'm not shaming a group or the girls who are dressing in the same outfit multiple times like that. You know, I do it. I wear the same outfit all the time. But it kind of shows that Cube isn't putting a lot of money into the comebacks. I did find some rare examples of Seattle wearing the same outfit, but it's not nearly as often. That's for sure. I just wanted to mention this because CLC and Seattle are always compared. And I was like, well, Seattle does this sometimes too. But you can just see, like, this is, like, crazy. I remember when Cube was spamming my YouTube with uploads, and they were uploading all the 2021 New Year's greeting videos, and I got kind of confused because CLC's video wasn't up yet. I didn't think too much about it because I just thought they were still uploading, but then CLC just never got a video. Like, I have no clue why. I can't find a statement from Cube about that. They just never did anything. Only uploaded like a tweet with their greeting message. Like, what? Like, I get it's probably because of the whole Elkie thing, which again I'll get into later, but like, what? Excuse me, what? In July of 2019, it was announced that CLC was gonna be in the lineup for a Romanian concert, and the concert date was set for September 3rd to 5th. But in August, the appearance was cancelled, and Cube never said anything about this. Not about the original concert or the cancellation of the concert. They were just like, silence. Thanks to Seungyeon being so active on social media, we do have a lot of insight into CLC and behind the scenes. In a live stream called Live as a Girl Group, Seungyeon answered a question related to being a K-pop group. She answered the question, have you ever felt like giving up? And I'll play a small clip of her reply now.
Yes, every time I go out on a show, or every time CLC goes out on the show, and suddenly, like, we don't get the feedback that we want. And when we don't get the feedback that we want, of course the company is gonna be like, oh, well, you guys didn't do well enough. And it's our fault, because the person who has to do well is us, not the company, right? The company can only help you. This is a thing that one of the staff in here told me. His job is just to put us on stage. That's his job. But stuff that happens after they put us on stage, it's all our responsibility.
Now, I understand what she means, and that I do agree to some extent, but at the same time, I can't imagine living with such a burden. It is the group's job to promote well, but it's also Cube's job to help the group do well. For example, if a company gives the group a horrible song and it sucks, the group really can't do their job and promote the song if it's horrible. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not calling CLC's songs horrible, I'm just making up a scenario. It's not just on them. There's a clip where Seungyeon talks about they were going somewhere and they had no staff. Like, there was no one with them. I'm assuming that in this instant they did have a manager, because you could hear someone like talk in the background, but they had no makeup staff. They just had to fix their own outfit, fix their own hair. And I'm like, isn't that like dangerous? Like, what if something happens and there's just like one person to protect all 7 girls? Like, I don't understand. What? I just think that's strange in my opinion. Fans have also been upset over the lack of CLC content, so they haven't had much to do while waiting for a new comeback. CLC has been a group since March of 2015, as I mentioned before. I have some numbers to put that into perspective. As a rough estimate, from debut to January of 2013 of 2020, CLC has been a group for 2,127 days. But out of those days, CLC has been inactive or on hiatus for 1,920 days. That is insane. That's literally like almost their whole career. For their helicopter comeback, the girls talked about how they were feeling about coming back, and Yeon said, I would be lying if I wasn't impatient because of our hiatus, and I think I'll be able to perform comfortably after preparing a lot to get rid of those feelings. It's so obvious that the girls want to work. They can work on their own songs, but Cube just gave up on them. A thing that made people angry recently is that people found signed the albums from various artists to CLC online for sale. Like, we don't know who posted them, but it's strange that these albums that were gifted to CLC from other K-pop artists were being sold. Like, it's not, like, how do you have these? Unless it's like CLC, sure, but I don't think it is. On December 25th of 2020, one of the members, Elkie, submitted a request to Cube to terminate her contract with the company and that she would get paid the money that she was owed. I will read some parts of the letter, but as I said in the beginning of the video, all sources will be in the description box and I'll show like the letter on the screen. And by the way, for some context, Miss Chung in this letter is Elkie. So, quote, according to Ms. Chung's statements and materials she provided, Ms. Chung signed an exclusive contract with Cube in February 2016. In the contract, it was stated that Cube would be the exclusive managing agency for Ms. Chung's entertainment activities. Following the signing of the contract, Ms. Chung joined the girl group CLC and fulfilled the responsibilities that were outlined in the contract, followed the company's guidelines and arrangements, and dedicated her time to training for acting as well. However, Ms. Chung claimed that Cube Entertainment violated numerous terms and conditions from the contract. First, during the contract period, Miss Chung's income from her entertainment activities were collected by Cube Entertainment. However, Cube Entertainment never released any income statements or specific detail to Miss Chung. Second, after the signing of the contract, Miss Chung fulfilled her responsibilities outlined in the contract and participated in schedules that she was required to and arranged by Cube Entertainment. However, Cube Entertainment did not pay Miss Chung for her acting activities as outlined in Article 6.4 in the exclusive contract. Third, due to Cube's Entertainment's management and internal structure changes, you informed the CLC members that there would no longer be any developmental support in 2020. Since then, Cube Entertainment has not provided any reasonable plans for Miss Chung's future, and instead your actions showed that you would no longer fulfill the terms of the contract. End quote. Later in the letter, they talk about what they want Cube to do by saying, quote, first, starting the day you receive this letter, the exclusive contract between Miss Chung and Cube Entertainment is terminated. Second, within 15 days after receiving this notice, Cube Entertainment is to provide Miss Chung with proper income statements for activities during her contract period and contact details to proceed with settlement. Third, if Cube Entertainment refuses to follow the demands of the notice, we will use all legal means necessary to protect our client. End quote. People didn't really know if this letter was real at first, but then it was kind of confirmed when Elkie herself posted on her Weibo and Instagram with a handwritten letter to her fans. Here are some of the things that she said in the letter. Quote, however, it's sad that many times I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I have encountered many obstacles along the way, but it is what it is. Sadly, I couldn't show you more and give you all I have. This made me feel so bad. And when I think of you who have been always supporting me, it makes me feel even more disappointed and depressed. As of now, I feel that I haven't been a successful artist. At least I'm not very satisfied with what I've done for you. That's why I realized that I can't let it be anymore. I want to do more for my loved ones, and I would like to show you all I have. End quote. And then she later says, quote, especially thanks to my members who are like my family. Thank you for the love and support. Remember our promise, even when we become older, we will still gather together to sing and dance. I look forward to hearing good news from all of you. I love you so much. Love, Elkie. It took Cube so long to even make a statement. On February 3rd, Cube posted a very short statement saying that their contract with Elkie had been terminated and that she would be leaving CLC and Cube. I'm really glad that they finally released a statement, but why on earth did it take so long to say anything? This is the first time Cube even acknowledged that Elkie wanted to leave. Are some people that say that Cube did everything they could and that CLC just wasn't successful. I am not here to agree or disagree with that narrative, but I wanted to talk a little bit about it because I don't think this video would be complete without this discussion. In my research, I found this post on Reddit that was called Cube or Seattle is not responsible for CLC's failure, and I really liked the discussion around it. I'm using this thread because all the points that I saw all over my research were in this one place, so it just makes it a lot easier to go over. First, I want to make it clear that this video is not like me personally blaming Seattle or any other group for CLC's treatment or their success, if I haven't made that clear. So let's touch on some of the points that this post talked about. If it's really just CLC being unsuccessful, if there's more to it. The first thing that the poster points out is G-Idol is self-producing. Cube saves hundreds of thousands in paying upfront fees and royalties to outside producer. And yes, while that is true, CLC members have themselves shown interest in making their own song, and Cube idols themselves work on their song all the time, so it's not like they can't afford to make songs for their groups. Second point was that CLC fans did not hound Pentagon, who was an obvious resource extractor from CLC's budget in 2016. While yes, it is true that Cube's budget was probably going mostly towards the new debut of Pentagon, I can't sit here and say that Pentagon's debut and CLC's debut were equal. Pentagon had a whole show. Edom was promoted as he sang with Hyuna pre-debut and so on. On top of that, this was the year that CLC broke out, but Cube screwed it up by giving them a 180 comeback that not a lot of people cared for. So they were doing well that year, that Pentagon debuted, but Cube screwed it up So even though, yes, the funds were going to Pentagon, it's not like all the funds were going there, because they still had a pretty good breakthrough. The third point was that G-idol had no pre-debut promotions that CLC had. G-idol had one busking video on the streets, and this is just not true. First of all, Seungyeon wasn't produced 101, so she was very well known before G-idol. On top of that, she had 2 singles where her and her co-members were teased on multiple occasions. There's even a reference in the music video where she takes off the masks that her members were wearing in her music videos. There's also a bunch of other references of G-idol in her music videos, like debut dates and the countries they're from. So they were teased for sure. And they were getting some promotion, because one of her songs, Soyeon's song, is called Idol. The fourth point of the post is that G-idol first music video was shot in a warehouse, still got over 100 million views. If you want to use that argument that they shot their MV in a warehouse, so did CLC's Hobgoblin. It was also shot in a warehouse. G-idol's debut music video had multiple set designs, while CLC had 4, 2 of them being empty boxes. So I just don't like the whole MV argument thing, you know. I don't care for that one. The last point in this post is that the truth is CLC had their chance and blew it. They did not participate in concept direction in the earlier years. They did not have a solid leader. They did not have a musical direction or sound, and that their biggest hit was supplemented by Seungyeon herself. And still, every comeback, chasers pull out their megaphones and compare the set designs and their MVs to G-idol's, ruining the experience for everyone. The first thing I want to hit on is that I think people tend to forget that participating in your own comebacks was not such a big thing back then. There were some idols that did it, of course, especially older groups and soloists, but it wasn't nearly as common then as it is now. Their musical direction stems from the fact that Cube never even gave them a concept, so it's not CLC's fault in my opinion at all. When Cube started planning comebacks, they had no certain idea of what they wanted to do with the group and what sound they should go for. And even when they found the sound that the public liked, they dropped it instantly. Also, saying that their biggest hit, which I'm assuming is No, was supplemented by Seungyeon herself is just really shady, as Yeon, one of the members of CLC, had her hand in the song as well. So it's not just Seungyeon. And just because a fan base is upset and wants answers doesn't mean that they're ruining anything. They're just voicing their opinion as devoted fans. At least that's how I look at it. Thankfully, a lot of people didn't agree with this poster and said that no one was blaming G-idol and it was in some way Cube's fault. So I'm glad that most people didn't agree. As an entertainment company, you have to do what the audience wants. Simple as that. But Cube kept fucking up, changing the concept and not giving fans simple things like fandom colors. I know groups don't always make it big, and I understand that, but CLC had and still has a loyal fan base, but Cube just gave up on them. Cube isn't as perfect as people think they are, and they handle issues horribly, as we've seen over the years. I think I've made some good points throughout the video, so I won't be repeating myself and again. In my personal opinion, and other people as well, Cube is a solid reason why CLC couldn't make it bigger. They had a lot of chances to make it big, but every time they were on the upgoing, Cube would blow it for the group. There are some other issues that fans have with Cube and CLC's career, but I just don't have time to talk about it, all the tiny details, so we would be here forever. I just think that CLC just needed some love, and I hope they get justice because I really care about them and I want to see them do well, whether that is under Cube as a group or not, and like maybe soloists. But that is it for this video. I am so sorry that it's this long. I just had so many things to say, and personally I don't like the short videos where people just run over the issues super quick with no context. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you like CLC? Do you think that Cube is at fault and was a reason why CLC didn't make it bigger? And also, what is your thought on the Elkie situation? Or anything else you want to talk about? We can chat about it down below. But that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.